she said this one is okay. When we post, we can use. Why not? Okay, la. So woman chuji inji potong ni tusan sonji kanjo ngowa. Ronsen chu kungwansa tunzi ptawla mhyabla sorbande dosung lo na chu la yer. Sosan dunga jenda che jinchen nyason me po hiwa jela su senchen tan yer de danche na. Tamba nam jinu te tsar de so. Good morning. Now we are talking about continue about causalities and the cause and effect, and these are come from the movement of aggregation of four elements, included mind. And we can to follow up the Longchenpa's quotation, miraculous discipline of four elements in the space. If in the space there is no movement, there's nothing can result. Nothing result. And in the space, there is some movement occur. It doesn't matter physical or mental, or material or the mental. And then there are like kind of the consistency, you can to say consistency, or continuation, continuance, continency, or consistency, or consistency, maybe more is nice. Then it's like when they are moved, each movements producing something. It is very funny. It is also some in the perspective we can to change everything. But something is like we are create some cause, sometimes inevitably result, very difficult to avoid. Therefore, they said, if you not accumulate any activities, you can't account any result. And if you do some accumulate activities, then there are all the times you can account result. When you admit or you account the result, this result is good or bad. When a result is occurring, that moment is difficult to change. And this cause is already done, then its result is there. Like we can to say, it's like to make the wound. When you are like some accidentally, carelessly to something hurt to your body, make wound, and that time is already result. You say, I don't want this one. Immediately to take or get rid of them is impossible. It's needed to possess, because some movements happen to cut it. And this result, before this cut, to receive wound, maybe we can to avoid this situation. if I do like this, that probably I will to cut my finger or something happened. And very mindfully or very like kind of the attentively to do, maybe we can avoid such things. Generally speaking, we say obstacle, hindrance. And this sort of, maybe in the Buddhist perspective, the hindrance obstacles are not really someone's doing bad things for us. And that is we already done in the past in order to receive this obstacle and hindrance something in the futures. Then it's like, we say it's like, we making insurance to say, maybe I done something, and in this one is like, in that perspective, I want to do something in order to denial the consequence. It is possible. For example, we say, water rats. They battered you recognize the batter is water rats. And you know that this water rats has poisons in the winter times. And then you take the antidote medicine, maybe you kill this poison before to start in the suffering, the sound of the dragging. And then it's a dragging sound is coming. Maybe you can to check how it is the water rat's poison I receive in the winter. But maybe you already killed, you already antidotes, purified. There's no anymore reaction of the poisons. That you avoid the result, the obstacle. Or we use normal language, obstacle, hindrance, and sometimes we talking like this. And exactly when we are traveling into the samsara, then we have sometimes problems, these journeys, like kind of the obstacles and hindrance. And these things is to making sometimes obstacle of the hell, obstacle of the hungry ghosts, obstacle of the animal animals. Even in our life, in our human realms, we have obstacles, sufferings, old age, sickness, death, so on, so on. And that perspective, now we need to study causalities, how it is the cause can produce them. We already studied all the different type of the causality, like 10 negative, 10 positive. Everything is result from the cause. Everything is depends the cause, that everything's. And also, as I mentioned, like the cause and the effect is the movement of our, as I said, this aggregation of four elements, included the minds. And particularly in the sentient beings' perspective, we are going up, going down, or like kind of the result of good or bad, even the body, verb, totally depends on our minds. Already we studied, before yesterday, there's quotation by the Jigme Limbas, and there are many like kind of the history of the Buddha's life, Nangachunas. They already describe it, and we know that very well. And also it is like a beginning. When we enter into the path of the Dharma, very important, we need to, our mind turn inward and to check our like kind of the motivation. Motivation in Tibet, you say it's like gun hong. Gun is the all, long is the arising. And that is like in English motivations. I don't know. It's like it's corresponding translators, and it's like in Tibetan literature translations. In Tibet, it's like kind of the one motivations to make the arousing everything. And this motivation or the thoughts, I see yesterday I used thoughts. And also it's like kind of the small idea. Or maybe it's like kind of the some sense of the notion. And that is a very tiny, maybe at the beginning. And like kind of the undermined of the thoughts. And very tiny. And the beginning, if we can to recognize these thoughts, it's like a very tiny seed. You can easily to transform, to change, or to very easily. We can to say it's like the Ashoka tree. When it was a seed, we can do whatever we want. Even if we can to swallow up, maybe it's nothing hurt the stomach. But itself is like under the ground, already grow up. And it's become the huge. At that time, is even the difficult to cut down. Hundreds kind of beings can go under the shutter. Even you need to cut these trees a lot. Take maybe times. Like this, like a kind of the beginning, we have a very subtle, tiny thoughts, like the more less tiny than Ashoka's tree seed. And this is the seed of the thoughts. It is positive or negative. That is a very important to check. And this one, generally speaking, we call the motivation. Motivation means it's like kind of you, in English, maybe you motivated some negative way or the positive way. Motivated interest. Like based your seed, based your kind of the what is like grow up. And that one is like a poison or the medicinal. Immediately we need to check. And when it is times, maybe you can to easily to get rid. Like sometimes poison nut trees. When it's times you can to cut, you can to easily. But already big grow up and maybe it's damaged many different plants and they spread a lot. And like this, the tiny motivation motivated, some is negative, and at that moment we can recognize, then easily to turn or to acute this sickness or to take antidote these poisons. If this small motivation is like kind of connect to the medicinal, like positive, motivated, like this to want to stop like 10 negative actions, or maybe we say it's generating bodhicitta means it's like thinking about the benefit sentient beings, benefit, concerning, sympathetic, and kind of this is like a motivated good things, good motivation. And then we need to change them. Generally, yesterday say ordinary beings, it is impossible not to have thoughts and actions which are inspired by evil intentions. That is like kind of according to the habitual tendencies, implementing, and kind of the life and lifetimes, we kind of the habit. And then it's like now, when we enter into the Dharma, very important, each moment turn inward to check our minds. And of course, when we be in the ordinary being's perspective, there are such negative, disturbing emotions or the motivation is occurring. But if we can recognize the wrong immediately, and they recognize the wrong kind of the motivation, and the base of the root is like kind of the coming. We recognize, that plant is the really poison. Immediately we recognize that. And then it's like we confess, sorry, I cannot to have that. I should to change, transform. And like kind of the why I have this kind of thoughts. And just confess and vow not to do it again. This sentence is many lots of us necessary. In Tibetan, very short word called shakdam. Shakdam, only 2 words. Shakdam say. Shak means confess. Dam means vow not to do it again. Vow not to do it again. Vow not to do it again. These 2 are intact or entitled to be there, and then we can to destroy it or eliminate our misdeed things. Therefore, he said, confess it. And we have negative thoughts, maybe negative acted. And according to negative motivations, maybe certainly be done. Some movement was like a kind of negatives. Maybe we killed, maybe we stolen, maybe we done the mistake, sexual misconduct, liar, sowing discord, harsh word, gossip things. And but immediately we recognize, you confess, that is the antidote. And the second step is the vow not to do it again. And these 2 are combined. We are completely, really best confession in that like this. Of course, like more very elaborately to confess or purify the wrong things, like through the 4 powers. You remember, according to the Vajrasattva practice, there's 4 like kind of power, like the power of the sport, and the power of the like kind of the telling to what we've done on the past, and then power of the you stopped, I never do it, and then power of the vow not to do it again. This kind of 4 powers to confess, that is the best. But generally, it's like some negative things occur on the body, speech, mind. Then we need confess and vow not to do it again. We will part company with it. We will part company with it. We don't want to be part of or the company with these negative deeds. For example, if you launch from bank, says, you borrowed money, you rented money, and you pay back like capital money and interest together. Maybe it's you arranged 10, 20, 30. I make joke myself, I have 20 years a launch. Loan. Oh yeah, launch is business launch. Okay, loan. And like this one is, you have this kind of a burden, it's the back in your back. Every month you need to concern and you need to pay back. That is like kind of the 20 years you make a companion. And difficult to divorce and to like this. You already like this. But it's not pleasant, each moment you need to concern. If you cannot pay back, and then there's problem. Like this, if we are committed something, if we do not confess, vow not to do it again, and then it's like we be together, carrying this back heavy things. Maybe also it's like some the negative actions, negative deeds, or negative movements, also often, like again and again making problems. When you have like this kind of a loan from the bank, every month, each day you need to concern. It can disturb to your mind. Exactly like this, until it's finished. When you are like, maybe you changed, make example, okay? And there is someone's help to you. Maybe you earn money. Maybe you something like lucky happens. After the 2 years, bank, now I want to pay back everything. Maybe I don't want to carry this back. Thank you. You don't need to continue 20, 30 years. You stopped. But we haven't got this kind of situations. Then it's until this money is exhausted or to pay back, we need to continue. Exactly here it says like the company with it never ever again. And like immediately we need to confess it, vow not to do it again. And then it's like immediately we kind of get rid of like this. Another days, another Geshe Ben was at the home of some patrons. At one moment, his host left the room. Of course, Geshe Ben has a lot of. He's come from the Gongil, I think it's like very one area. There are many great practitioners. And there's this bank, and this Geshe Ben was there in some patrons or the like kind of benefactors. Some is like sponsors' room. He's very relaxed there, but everybody went out, and he's alone in the room. Then Geshe thought, I have no tea in maybe his hermitage. I will still a bit to brew up when I get back to my hermitage shutter. And he has this kind of idea. This sort of many we have, even the Dharma practitioners, and like this, and make joke, and here is the Kari Mala, and looking around, I haven't got not that. Maybe I will take. Maybe I will use. And particularly sometimes in the centers, and like a center or the communities things is like to make generosity each other, or it's like there is one telephone. Nobody's maybe 2-3 months. There's no owner. Maybe I haven't got. Maybe why not? That's not necessary. Or maybe it says like, okay, I give you two. Maybe it's nobody's owner. It's not correct like this. Or maybe it's like sent communities things is in the kitchen or in the stores. Maybe something ruined out, something there is something things. This kind of sort, this is okay, nothing kind of. Maybe it's like, I will take just myself, it's like the one, when I go back home, when I will go back like my own chalet, and something I will do, you say, that this sort of idea is many is coming. And particularly, I would to say is individual private patron's house, maybe you done, maybe it's okay, of course it is negative, but communities, I need to caring. And I'm very much scaring when I received the history of the Cambodjanjong, Nalanda universities. And in this perspective, it's like community things. When we go to the shop, and like kind of shop is also very bad, negative. Shop is like, sometimes we think shop is a case. Shop has like many communities. Maybe these companies like created by the maybe 100 peoples, and like this together work created. And then it's like, okay, they create shop. Then when they have the like kind of the profit, the benefit or something result, they are sharing. And then this inside, like one you stolen, and then maybe you stolen from the 100 persons owners, and very negative karma. And like this, sometimes when we be alone and nobody's to see to us, that moment is very, very important to have mindfulness. And particularly, I would to say community things. This is a really, really scaring things. It's like in the center, in the monastery, in the charity, in the like kind of the shop. And like anything is the belong the communities things is very much taking care. I think we need to taking care. Of course, this Geshe Ben, and he stolen tea from the one family's patrons, and that is maybe is like, okay, one family is with damages, maybe not many damages. For example, when we go to in the shop, you stolen something, and maybe it's, you say, it's a shop, but maybe this shop is like a bankrupt, or maybe like nothing kind of profit, and then it's maybe that there's participations, maybe 100,000 families collected to the money, and they kind of invest and to develop, and then we damage it like this. And therefore, it is very important. But Geshe Ben, he has very good ideas. He saw a lot of tea. He said, I haven't got tea. Maybe I will take a little bit. This patron's house, a lot of tea. Don't worry. Maybe this sponsor's house may be very rich. You can take maybe few kilos. Maybe they cannot notice even. Maybe no problem. But you hurting yourself, and you making like kind of the making problem future yourself. Maybe it's not no problem for the patrons and the benefactors like this. That is a really very great kind of the example. But the moment they put his hand in their back of the tea, of course, sometimes we have habitual tendencies. I told you there's one, even the one lama, they called them Kembo, I don't know, but it's like he all the time stolen, and he says, "Are you teacher? You are the called Kembo lama. Why you do that?" That is my negative karma, and he sometimes stolen and bring back to confess and sorry to say, because sometimes impossible to stop. Hand is going like this, and this kind of like this. Of course, Geshe Ben has a little bit this kind of habitude. Then it's tea. He certainly realized that he has doing and called to his patrons. Of course, he has Dharma education in his mind, and immediately recognize, that is the doing wrong. My motivation, my movement, everything is wrong. Now it is not good. He called to the patrons, come and look at, am I doing it? I'm doing it. What am I doing? Am I doing it? Cut my hand off. Could you please to cut my hand? And of course, the patrons, they may be laughing, but it's like you confess, vows not to do it again, and then immediately like telling to that, and like finished. Of course, it's like a patrons maybe laughing, maybe say, we don't need to cut if you want to take more teeth. But maybe he say, of course, you haven't got any stinginess, but I'm doing negative things. Therefore, I'm saying, could you cut my hands up? But of course, like these communications, the Geshe Ben, he's like stopped to doing the negative actions. And the same as the another one, Atisha said, since taking the Patimuchas vows, Patimuchas, it is like kind of the quoting the Vinayana Sutta. Generally, there's 3 in the Tripitakas, and the first one is the Vinayanas. Vinayanas is like a Pachimutta vows. It is like connect to individual liberation vows. And they are principally is like same as the 5 main root vows. It is like cannot kill, cannot stolen, cannot do sexual misconduct, cannot to drink, and things cannot lie like this. And this is like basic. And then, of course, it's like 10 negative actions. And add, or the top of that, it's like 250 like principle discipline. And that is like explained in the Patimoksha's vows. And then Jowa Atishat, he says, when I take the Patimoksha vows, I have not been stained by the smallest of faults. And like kind of he's completely kept this, all the vows, according to the teaching of the Patimoksha's vows. And he said this, I'm very proudly, and I never like kind of the vows break down, so stand by this kind of the smallest faults of the vows. And in the middle, in practicing the precepts of the Bodhisattvas, when you will take the Bodhisattva vows, of course, there is like according the king, according the ministers, according the like normal, and there are 18 like precepts or like discipline. And of course, the like kind of the resume to everything is like we cannot hurt into other sentient beings. But it's like that moment, he said, I have committed one or two errors occurred. And it's more important, but this is like kind of the sometimes it's happened, he say. And he seems taking up the secret mantra Vajrayana, even though I have committed stumbles. Stumble means it's like many things. It's like in the secret mantra yanas, of course, there's many different samayas, it's vows. And then it's like his mind is a little bit stumble and like did this and that. Still, I have let neither faults nor downfalls remain with me for as much as a whole day. Whole day is like all day. And he never like kind of the be companion or company, and with any kind of the against the vows, and according the Patimoksha vows or the Bodhisattva vows, secret mantra and Vajrayana's vows. And when there are something happens, it's like kind of he immediately confess, vow not to do it again. When he was traveling, as soon as any bad thought occurred to him, he would take up the wooden mandalas, based his chariot with him, and confess his bad thought, vowing never to let it happen again. And the same is like a vow not to do it again. And like this, like immediately, even one is like traveling, he has some bad thoughts and like bad did some things, immediately to coming down from the horse to sit there and to take out in the back the wooden mandalas, and then he's put there and he confess. And the vow never to let it happen again. And this is like kind of the purified. Which is exact, and means like this morning we says, just before I mentioned, when you receive the the water rat's poisons, you immediately take this antidote, and you never carry until the next sufferings. And then it's like maybe it's poisons not express, pervade, or it's like express or all over the body. And like this, and negative dips, something happened, immediately to confess and vow not to do it again in the futures. And then it's like kind of purified. That is the most important. One day Geshe Ben was a large gathering of the Geshis at the Penyuljal. Penyuljal is the place, okay? Penyuljal is many famous master, like great Dharma practitioners came. This among of them, there's famous is Geshe Ben. After a while, some curd was offered to the guests. Curd is the yokuts, curd. And then it's like Geshe Ben was seated in one of the middle rows. And of course, this many happened. And when we are service, and according that time is, when you big then chopins, and when you give talk, it's very important to really to share the sanghas, very very much. Sometimes we say it's like when we make the talk, maybe someone's offerings like 10 yokuts, okay, 10 yok, very delicious yokuts. Maybe our sangha we have the 20 sanghas. Then it's in chopins. What you do? Oh, there's a 10, and you give to as much as reached you give. Another is like you can say, okay, we can give fruits. It's not good, because people mind is very the smallest, and like you give your neighborhood received the delicious yokuts, and yourself you receive the fruits, and then you have, maybe you are not hungry, you are not expecting something, but you have, why I don't receive the yokuts? These yokuts are very delicious. Then it's like maybe chopin's not not good. Then negative emotion is as coming. Therefore, it's even the when you abide and chopin's, and everything's too nice to share. Maybe this 10 yokuts I need to provide the 20 sanghas to collect it. Maybe share the spoons. Okay, there's nobody's have any bad thoughts. And like this, even you share the food, cloth, any kind of times. Of course, Bodhisattvas to offer best, but it's like to the sharing things is very important. Look in the Geshe Ben, also he's like concerning the yokuts. What happened? He was in the middle rows, and then his yogurt is coming, and then it's like notice that the monks in the first row will receive a large portion of this delicious yogurt, and surely, and then it's like that curd yogurt look very delicious. It's extremely looks like that. I mean, it's like in Tibet, some nomads really to make the yogurt, they never take out butter. Direct milk come from the yak, and then you make, it's amazing. Like the cream is thick like this, and then it's the yogurt is like the sweet like cake and delicious. He thought that himself, but I don't think I will get my fair share. And this is like the phrase, verb. It's maybe some is like doesn't speak English. I don't know, you know, of course. Fair share means it's like my fair share is August tea, and or my fair share of the talk, and like this sort of my fair share yokuts probably I can't receive, because on the top there is a lot of geshes, monks. There is, I can't receive. He was negative thoughts. Then immediately the caught hold of himself. Like immediately he caught hold of himself. Like that means it's like he's recognized immediately. You could addict, like alcoholic, drug addict, you could addict to so much disattachment to the yokuts. He thought, and then it's like turned his bowl upside down, and like he doesn't want. Look, yokuts addict. When the man who was serving the curd came and asked, "Would you like yokuts?" Him of the would like some yokuts. He refused. This evil mind has already taken its shares. My fair share was already evil mind is created. Now I cannot. He said, although there was no wrong at all in wanting to share the feast equal with the other pure monks. And of course, it's no problem. This is like kind of the feast of the yokuts, and equally to giving all the like kind of the monks. There's nothing negative things, but his motivation, his like kind of the way of the thinking is making the like kind of the negative actions. And then it's like even he received maybe with like kind of such negative things. And therefore, and he like kind of, he don't want to take. It was the self-centered self. Why is the wrong? Why he doesn't want? Which kind of problems? He said is like kind of the self-centeredness of his expectant thoughts about the getting that delicious curd that made him refuse it. And this, the kind of the delicious the curd, of course, it's sharing all the monks, they are like kind of the receive. There's even he take it is no problem himself. He can to take that. But his mind is very much self-centeredness. And there is such kind of the expectations. And this kind of thoughts is like kind of then is making the negative things. And then is he doesn't want to take and he refuses it like this. It's a kind of the sleeping. It's we can to stop, okay, half an hour. And this means it's like a 9:45, yes? 2:15. 10:15. 20 past. Okay, 20 past. 20 past, 20 past, 20 past, 20 past.